The Gulf Coast District Tournament coming up right now this weekend, Friday and Saturday. A good few of the teams here from this league, the MSAHA, are heading out to Monroe for the Gulf Coast District Tournament. We are excited about that, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about some games from this last week. Laurel played 3 different matchups this last week. Also saw a couple of games from Hattiesburg and Jackson as well. We're going to talk about that a good bit here today, and we're going to talk about just leading up to these last few tournaments. And we also will be joined by head coach of the Macomb Gators, Bobby Baggett. He will be joining us today. We're excited about that, and we got a good show for you tonight. The MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show begins right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. I am your host, Trellis Williams, and today, January 15th of 2025, we got a good show for you today. So this past week, we saw some big matchups. We had Meridian taking on Laurel. Now, as far as the girls were concerned, Laurel, the number 1 seed here in this conference in girls, and they were able to show it by getting a 36-19 win over Meridian. Now, Meridian was coming off a tough loss just earlier that week to the Muddy River Counselors, where they lost 34-19, kind of an identical score here. And they're lost to Laurel on the road again, 36-19. Now, Meridian does a good job of kind of controlling the tempo of the game, and obviously they were able to kind of keep the tempo a little bit slower against Laurel, didn't let them run too much. Obviously, only 36 points for Laurel, but a 36-19 win for the Lady Nighthawks that kind of propels them a little bit more here in the league. And we're going to look at the standings in just a little bit as well. Also in boys, Laurel and Meridian taking each other on. The first time those two teams played, a 70-61 win for the Lady Nighthawks, or rather, we're talking about the boys here for the Nighthawks. They had won 70-61. This time, Laurel gets the win again here at home, 84-67. Laurel's playing some good basketball. We're going to see some of these other matchups that they had from this past week, but winning by 17 points and putting in 84 points is a big deal for that Laurel basketball team. They were able to do it against Meridian and get that win. Then on Friday night, we had Hattiesburg and Meridian matching up from Hickory. So in girls, is Meridian and Hattiesburg. Now, Meridian coming off 2 tough losses in a row against the Muddy River Counselors and the Laurel Lady Nighthawks. Back at it again for their 3rd conference game in the week, this time hosting Hattiesburg. They get the win, but by only 9 points, 27-18. And when you look at a Meridian score, you're going to see most likely a lower score game. They're able to control that tempo, kind of control the pace of the game there. And but they're able to they lose to Laurel by 17 or so, which of course that's a good game there for Laurel. But they'll turn around and beat Hattiesburg by only 9. And so you're talking about Meridian games are probably going to be a little bit on the closer side. They win this one 27-18 over Hattiesburg there at home. Then in boys, we had a really good one, and this was one we were talking about last week. I had no idea who was going to win this game, Hattiesburg and Meridian. Last time the two teams had played, it was a 55-50 win for Meridian over Hattiesburg. This time, Hattiesburg wins on the road against Meridian, 65-58, a 7-point win for the Forerunners, defeating the Flyers there on the road. A big win for Hattiesburg. This allowed them to jump in the 18U boys standings, and they do. With that win, that was their 3rd conference win of the season. Also on Friday night, we saw that crosstown rivalry game between the Jackson Victors and the Muddy River Counselors. This one went to the Counselors firmly, 90-62 win for the Counselors there. at home for them, and that wrapped up their regular season. The Counselors 19-0 overall with a 14-0 conference record. The Counselors swept through the league this year in terms of regular season play. PCA will have something to say about it at least, and the other teams will get their shot at the Counselors in the end of the season tournament. But in the regular season, it belonged to the Counselors, and they were able to get that win over the Victors to kind of put an exclamation point on this regular season in which they went undefeated. Then on Saturday, we saw Macomb and PCA matchup. So we had a girls game and a boys game there. The Macomb girls falling to PCA 55-13. The Paladins were able to handle that one in that game. PCA, a very good team, 8-2 in conference. They're only playing conference games this year. That was a decision they made, just kind of on a lower numbers year for PCA as far as girls are concerned, but they have some good players. Not short of good players, but they are short of players overall. So kind of sticking to conference games, but this allows them to be a little fresher and able to win that ball game by 42 points there at home. Then we saw the boys, Macomb and PCA, a 66-27 win for the Paladins. Now, I will say this, Macomb was missing Sean Davis that day. PCA's been doing well. PCA beat Macomb the first time, so I'm not saying it would have been different, but it is a different outcome without one of your top players there from Macomb. But PCA able to get that win, 66-27. This allows the Paladins to go 10-2 in conference and take that number 2 spot and hold on to it pretty good. They have that and solidly in their camp. And I think that wraps up conference play for the Paladins as well. And so then we saw on this Monday, just a couple of days ago, we saw Hattiesburg and Laurel take each other on in girls. The Laurel Lady Nighthawks able to win 51-17 against Hattiesburg at home. They were able to handle the Forerunners by 34 points. Laurel looking pretty good. They are now 8-1 in conference, and now they seal the number 1 seed in the MSAHA. So PCA sitting at number 2 with an 8-2 conference record. But the reason why Laurel has it firmly in their grip is that even if Laurel loses their last game, which I believe that will be against the Macomb Gators, even if they lost that game, they'd be tied in record with PCA at 8-2, and Laurel has the head-to-head as they beat PCA by more than PCA beat them. So that kind of leaves Laurel at that number 1 spot there. In the girls, they're able to recapture it. PCA got it early with a 34-33 win over Laurel there in the girls, and Laurel able to recapture it. They've played really inspired basketball. Coach Cliff Jenkins, their head coach, has done a great job with that team, but what they're going to be looking for now is to be able to close the season the way that they have played here in this December-January stretch. They're looking to finish it off with a championship. They're going to have to work for it. They don't have that size advantage they've had these past few years. They got to play. They got to come out and play every single time. They win over Hattiesburg 51-17. And then in the boys' ball game, now, Hattiesburg had beaten Laurel the first time those two teams had played, so Laurel had their antennas up. They had the ears up on this one. They were prepared for this ball game. They get the win by 21 points, a very surprising margin of a win there for the Nighthawks, 70-49 there as Laurel hosts Hattiesburg. And we were kind of talking about this last week, how the Jackson-Muddy River matchup's kind of like a crosstown rivalry. Well, it's almost like you have that with Laurel and Hattiesburg. They are not very far away from each other, a little further than the Counselors and the Victors are, but not far at all. You have people that know each other just by living relatively close there, Laurel and Hattiesburg. But the Nighthawks get that win 70-49, and then Laurel in a back-to-back, they get back at it again, taking on the Jackson Victors there, hosting. Laurel kind of coming through a home stand here in January. They kind of front-loaded their schedule on the road, and so now playing a few home games. This time they play the Jackson Victors, another team they had lost to earlier in the season. This last time it was, I believe it was a 14-point win for the Victors. I mean, Laurel just couldn't really get anything going, and the Victors had a very good start to the season. But this time, Laurel wins by 3 points, a very good game, but Laurel comes away with the victory 59-56, which puts Laurel in a very favorable position here in the standings, and we're going to look at those right now, looking at 18U boys standing. So now the counselors, of course, the star indicates that you seal the deal on the number 1 seed. The counselors have done that. They're 14-0 in conference. PCA solid at the number 2 with a 10-2 conference record. But now Laurel at number 3 with a 7-6 record. Now, Macomb sitting at 6-6. Now Macomb and Laurel do play again this season, and so that game will be big, have big seeding implications as who will get that 3 seed and 4 seed. And these things make a big difference here in this upcoming conference tournament, because if you are at the 3 seed, if you win, you will play PCA. If you win the first round game against the 6 seed, you'll play PCA. If you're the 4 seed, if you win the game against the 5 seed, you will play the Muddy River Counselors. So that will make a big difference on whether you play the Counselors or the Paladins. Both very tough teams, both clearly in the top 2 in the conference, but it does have an effect on what ends up happening there. And so just to go back to those standings there, you also have Jackson sitting at number 5. Now, Jackson was at number 3 for the majority of the season, and now they fall with a couple of losses here. They lose to the Counselors and to the Laurel Nighthawks. They're now 5-7 in conference. They lost both games to Macomb, which puts them behind the 8 ball. They still have a game with Hattiesburg remaining, I do believe. Hattiesburg Forerunners are 3-9 in conference, and they got the Meridian Flyers at the end with 2-12 conference record. And Meridian, Meridian's a capable team. They're a pretty young team though, but they're a very capable team. Their wins were over Hattiesburg, and I do believe that they got a win over Macomb, I do believe, at one point in time in the season, which was an impressive win for them. But that kind of just goes to show you that Meridian can play. They're not going to be an easy game. They're probably going to be the 7 seed and probably face PCA in the first round, which is a tough draw. And if you're in that position, you do not want to be the 7 seed, because you're the 7 seed. You have to play PCA. Not a good draw for the first round for Meridian. And I know that they wanted to be able to have a first round matchup that was a little bit of a more favorable look for them. But Meridian is a team to watch out for. But, they're mostly a 16U team. They don't have that many guys that are over that 16U age group where they can't play 16U. So Meridian's kind of got a team for the future, which is good to see, especially if you're a Flyers fan. So to look here at the girls' standings, and the girls' standings are set in stone. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Nobody's going to change. Nobody's going to go up. Nobody's going to go down. Laurel has sealed the deal on the number 1 seed with an 8-1 conference record. PCA 8-2 conference record. We talked about that with the head-to-head. Laurel's got that head-to-head on PCA. Meridian sitting solidly at the number 3 seed, 6-4. Counselors 4-6. Even though the Counselors did beat Meridian last time, they split it with Meridian. They lost both times to PCA, and they lost one to Hattiesburg, which causes them to be under Meridian. Meridian did beat PCA one time and beat Hattiesburg twice. So Meridian's sitting at 6-4 conference record, 2 games ahead of the Counselors, who are 4-6. And then Hattiesburg, after losing that last game to Laurel, they are 3-7, so they're done with conference play. And as you can see, there's only one more conference game left in the girls' standings, and that will be Laurel against Macomb, which will be, I do believe that will be on January 21st, which will be next Tuesday. That's when those 2 teams will face off for the final conference game of the season. And so just to kind of give a little bit of a rundown there, if you look at these standings, how this tournament is going to work is that you're going to have the number 1 and number 6 teams play, the number 2, number 5 teams play, and the number 3 and number 4 teams play. And they're going to be separated into gold bracket and silver bracket based on the results. So Laurel's going to play Macomb first round, PCA will play Hattiesburg first round, Meridian will play Muddy River first round, and then they'll get separated by the results there. And so I'll tell you, it'll be very interesting, especially that first round matchup between Meridian and Muddy River. They split it in the regular season. The Counselors won the last time, but Counselors won at home, Meridian won at home. Now on a neutral court in Macomb. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. We're going to keep up with what goes on here in this conference. But right now, joining us, we are very happy to have joining us Coach Bobby Baggett. He's the head coach of the Macomb Gators. And Coach Baggett, we appreciate you joining us. First time on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and Coach, your team first year in the league. You guys have had a team for at least 2 years before this year. You guys decided to kind of wait on joining the conference until now. You guys have been a legitimate homeschool team for a little while. Now you decided to join the conference. Just kind of talk about the decision of you guys to go ahead and join the conference now as opposed to last year, even.
Yes, sir. We've been playing. Had a team probably for about 2 years before this, and last year we played a number of teams already in MSAHA.
That's right.
Specifically, I believe Jackson, Laurel, maybe one or two others, and they're very competitive games. We just had a blast. We really enjoyed the competition. Um, we almost pulled it out against Laurel last year in our second game, and the second game that we played them in, and we played Jackson last year. We actually beat them both times. So we thought, yeah, maybe we can give it a shot. Go try to
Yeah.
join the league or something. So we actually only had 12 games on our schedule last year, and I spoke with our athletic director, Jairus Meth, and I said, can see if we can arrange some more games or put us in a league or something for next year. And several of the teams in the league suggested that we join. And we're glad we did because we've really enjoyed the competition. It's very competitive from top to bottom. I mean, you look at the standings from teams number 3 all the way to 7 or even 8 and 9. It's very competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, you could we lost to Meridian. We split with Meridian. We beat them the first time, and they beat us the second time. And you see where they are in the standings. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of competitiveness and some good parity there. And we really enjoy the competition.
For sure, and you guys have experienced that parity about as much as anybody. 6-6 record in conference. You guys sit right there at the 4 seed right now. You guys had a strong. Well, your start actually. You played the top 2 seeds in the conference first 2 games in the Counselors and the Paladins, and then you guys caught on, won 4 games straight. Just kind of talk about your team this year, kind of the growth of your team, and kind of where you see your team now.
Well, we've a number of people have said that we're talented, and yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah.
We have some talent. Our boys are we have a height advantage in a number of our games. As coaches, I'm fortunate to have 2 guys helping me out coaching the team, and I appreciate their support, Demille Tops and Adam Miller. All of us coaches are fathers. We each of us have at least one player on the team. So, but it's been an incredible opportunity that we've had to try to influence our boys and try to train them to try to help them develop into being intelligent young men and train them to how that the game of basketball is often like life. We deal with adversity, difficulties, losses, wins, emotions. And so we've had to deal with a good bit of adversity this year as well. And so it's been a growing experience for us. It's been a thrill being in the league for the first time and really enjoying that. But it's been a growing process dealing with some emotional problems and, a lot of ups and downs. But I'm really proud of our players. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to train and coach these guys. And it's amazing when we can point out to them that, look, when you guys listen to us and do what we tell you to, we're more positive. We have more positive results. And so it's been a learning opportunity for all of us. And I know our guys love to play. That they just love to play, and they play with so much heart. I can't say enough about them. I want the best for them, but sometimes we learn a lot more in the losses than we do in the wins. And so it's been pretty exciting for us.
For sure. I know that a lot of the viewers probably don't know the story. Just kind of talk about the story of this team, how it kind of came about and your role, and just kind of talk about how this all kind of really came about.
Oh, I'm sorry, say again?
I'm just saying, just explain to the viewers kind of what happened, like how this came about, how your team came about, how you got into doing the coaching, and just kind of that story.
Yeah. Well, the Mississippi, it's homeschool educators of Southwest Mississippi,
That's right.
Macomb Gators, and so we're based mainly out of the Macomb area. However, all of our players are from probably an hour to an hour and a half radius of the area. For instance,
Wow.
me and my family, we're actually from just north of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And then we have a number of players from Franklinton, some from, I think, from very few from Macomb, actually, but it's really spread out. But as a group, we only had, I think, two other sports that were involved, one or two other sports, cross country, and then boys and girls basketball. So it's really something that just started off literally just a couple of years ago, and it's
Yeah.
been really exciting. The board and everything, that the process that they've taken to grow this group, it's really exciting to see the leadership, the different activities that they provide for the group. And sports is just one of the many avenues that they use to be a blessing to the people in the area and be a tremendous opportunity. And so how the basketball joined on, it's been pretty neat to watch that.
Yeah.
I was only in it since last year. That was my first time. And that's because my son wanted the team to play on. And so we found out about it from a friend, and then they had an opportunity to coach the team. And so I jumped in with both hands and just been enjoying it ever since.
That's awesome. I also another thing too is that when you jump into coaching like this, all of a sudden now you're coaching high school basketball, and you start feeling those ups and downs of the season that you kind of alluded to there earlier. Just kind of talk about that a little bit. I mean, you guys have had success with winning. You've also lost some games that you wanted to win. I know that you know I mean, really, like if you're talking about just a few seasons in existence, your team's really good for just being a few seasons into existence. So just kind of talk about that. How like even though you should probably be in a situation where your team could be like worse for sure, like your team's very good. Um,
Okay.
so just kind of talk about but you're still going to be disappointed with some of these losses, then.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, last year we had 12 games and we went 7-5, and several of those wins were against MSAHA teams. And so we said, well, let's see if we join the league and get to play hopefully everybody in the league, and get a bunch of games. And we've played 21 games so far. We've
Yeah.
got just a couple games left. Actually, the athletic director said he tried rounding up some more teams to play against, and he called a number of schools, and only several of the larger schools were willing to play us for our non-conference,
Yeah.
like Park Lane and Copiah, and some big schools. So we had our hands tied with some much larger opponents to deal with, and it's been, it helps us with adversity and all,
Yeah.
but it's been an advantage that we've been able to use to help strengthen our team and grow together. And so the guys, they lean on each other, they lift each other up, and they enjoy each other's company. The camaraderie is great. Yeah, we've had some adversity there, one or two injuries, some emotional issues, but it's been really exciting to see us fight through it and grow together.
Absolutely, coach. And probably my last question here. So you're coming up to the end of the season. We're going to be coaching these guys to the end of the tournament. You guys host this tournament this year down there at Southwest Mississippi Community College. Just kind of talk about what your goals for this team is here as we wrap up the season.
Yeah, we've been watching the standings, and we're excited that we get to host it. That's
Yeah.
pretty fantastic,
Yeah.
especially in our first year. Yeah,
That's right. That's
not too
right.
many people get to say that. So we're going to enjoy that. We're going to use whatever advantage we can, the home court advantage. Hopefully, we get some fans out there, and we're really excited about that opportunity. We're we would love to bring home a trophy. Our first year in the league, that's our ultimate goal: bring home a trophy, and get the most out of it that we can, learn from it, enjoy the process. I'm going to try to coach the heck out of these boys and get them up for every game, and
Yep.
not let it pull us down if we lose. But hey, we're gonna go 100%. And I train our boys and tell them, look, it's all about these three things: you play with heart, you hustle, and then you have focus. Heart, hustle, and focus. If you play with heart, and then you hustle, you play hard, and then you're focused on your goal, you'll do well. And so that's a big incentive that we do for them. So we're looking forward to a great tournament. I'm confident that we'll do well, and I believe our players are too. So we're really looking forward to it.
That's a very good thing. Coach Bobby Baggett, we really appreciate you joining us right here on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much for having me. And my son's been keeping up with this week after week, and he was excited when he heard I get a chance to be on the show. So we're going to be watching this show again, and we appreciate all the work you do, Trellis. You're doing a great job promoting the show.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Coach. And we really appreciate Coach Bobby Baggett joining us right here on the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is right there below. Also, hit the notification bell. Turn on those notifications so that you can know when we are posting. Obviously, this show is live at 9 p.m. right here on Wednesday nights. And so right now we're going to kind of talk about what we have coming up here in district play. Kind of a little bit of a right turn here from we're talking about MSAHA action. We're going to talk about some of these teams that are going to be playing in the Gulf Coast District Tournament here in Macomb. Or not in Macomb, Monroe, rather, in Louisiana. So in the girls division, we're going to talk about 18U and girls. The Laurel Lady Nighthawks, of course, the number one team in the MSAHA conference. They will get the number 3 seed in district. They get the number 3 seed. They'll have a bye and will play. They will get a bye and they will play the number 6 seed team. Not sure which team that is, but they will be playing there. The number 5 seed is with the Meridian Flyers. They get the number 5 seed, so they'll have a bye. They will not have to play in a play-in there. And then the number 7 seed will be with the Muddy River Counselors. Counselors going as a girls team for the first time ever. So they'll be bringing the girls team there to Monroe. They'll get a 7 seed. They will play a play-in game. They'll take on the number 10 seed Champ Hawks from Mount Pleasant, Texas. And then you got the Hattiesburg Forerunners sitting there at a number 9 seed. And they will be playing the number 8 seeded. I believe it may be, I don't know who that is they're playing at the 8th seed, but we'll have to see. Maybe Little Rock, possibly, but we'll have to see. Might get corrected on that one. But Hattiesburg Forerunners coming in at the number 9 seed. And so then looking at the boys, the Muddy River Counselors, who are the number 1 team in the MSAHA, they get the number 2 seed in the district tournament. This is the highest seed they've ever received. Last year, they were the number 3 seed, lost to the number 6 seed Faulkner Falcons. Counselors looking to have a better showing here this year in district. They will be taking on the number 15 Good Samaritan Fellowship Hornets out of Fred, Texas. That will be their first game. That'll be live right here on Counselors. It'll be on Counselors TV right here on the TSJW Network YouTube channel. That'll be Friday at, I do believe, 12:15. PCA will get the number 4 seed, and their first round matchup will be against CHA, the number 13 seed, the homeschool team out of Monroe. And then the Jackson Victors will get the 9 seed. So they will get the 9 seed, and they will take on Little Rock, who will be the 8 seed in this tournament. Then the Laurel Nighthawks will get the number 10 seed. They are right under the Jackson Victors. They'll take on the number 7 seed Shreveport Force in the first round. Hattiesburg Forerunners also in this tournament at the number 12 seed. They'll play the number 5 seed Southwest Louisiana Knights. And then finally, the Tupelo Titans are at the number 14 seed, and they will take on the number 3 seed Champ Hawks. And so there are 6 of the 7 or 16 18U boys teams in this district tournament. There are 4 18U girls teams in the district tournament. And so that's good to see some participation there for some of these teams. Of course, Tupelo not participating in the MSAHA tournament. That's why they were not in the standings. I do want to be clear about that. The standings are only for the teams that are in the tournaments because, I mean, that's what the standings are for, to kind of determine what the seeding will be. And that's why Tupelo is not in there anymore, even though they played a lot of conference games. They are participating in the district tournament there. Also next week, following the district tournament on Tuesday, the Macomb Gators will take on the Laurel Nighthawks. That will be in Laurel. We got a girls matchup there. Be a tough look for Macomb there as they're playing the number 1 team. Macomb's kind of struggled this year. They're kind of in a rebuilding situation there for girls. For boys, should be an interesting game. We'll have to see how, if Macomb's there all healthy and everything like that. Laurel's been playing some very good basketball, but Laurel will be coming off this district tournament. And so we'll see how the Nighthawks do against the Gators. Gators will be going on the road. And so that'll be an interesting matchup. That'll be on Tuesday following the district tournament. Folks, do want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. Coming up, we got a lot of good stuff. This district tournament will have some counselors coverage coming up of that this weekend. We'll also try to keep you up to date on what's going on around the league. We'll try to do some different content probably on our Instagram. At TSJW Network is our Instagram handle, at TSJW Network. We're going to try to do some updates there, hopefully. So just some stuff around the league of the teams that are competing in that tournament. We also have other teams that are competing in 16U and 14U, notably Meridian's going to be 16U boys. They're not competing in 18U. They're going to compete in 16U in the district tournament. So that's something to note. We didn't talk about that today because we really just deal with 18U on the show. But definitely keep up with that. Give us a follow on our Instagram at TSJW Network. Also, check out the website, tsjwnetwork.net is our website. And that's where all the scores, standings, and schedules reside. Everything you see here on this show is based off information that is readily available on the TSJW Network website, tsjwnetwork.net. Also coming up, we got Championship Saturday for 16U, which will be on February 1st. Championship Saturday for 18U and 14U will be February 8th. We have all that coming up, as well as the All-Star Games, which will be on February 15th. And, we're looking for advertisers for that. We have some that are joining us for that, and we're very grateful for them. You will see them. We'll roll those out in the coming weeks. But if you have a business, you're interested in doing any sponsorships on our Championship Saturday productions here, broadcasts here on the TSJW Network YouTube channel, please contact us, tsjwnetwork@gmail.com, tsjwnetwork@gmail.com to contact us there. Folks, we appreciate you joining us. This is the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. I am Trellis Williams. We appreciate Coach Bobby Baggett of the Macomb Gators for joining us today on the show. And we appreciate all of you for tuning in and watching every week. I love it, and I appreciate y'all for joining us. This is Trellis Williams, the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show, and until next week, we out.